Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Spirit of Beverly Bolden Tarot Card Reading YouTube channel. And although I uploaded a new video this morning, I am excited and just compelled to do a bonus reading today because it is July 3rd and it is a full moon in Capricorn, and we are in the astrological side of Cancer. And why I feel so excited about doing this video is because I know that I am going to be used as a vessel to bring forth this reading, because my rising is in Capricorn and my moon is in Cancer and my sun is in Scorpio, which is transformation. So for those of you who are into astrology, you can clearly see why this is going to be a compelling reading without me even having to know exactly what's going to be revealed. And so I'm almost certain that the question that will be answered is, what is it that you need to know in order to be in alignment with your authentic self? And as always, I'm going to prep the area, right? So what I'm using today is my pure white sage oil with Reiki energy. This is an oil that I make, three-dimensional oil that I make in my company, Beverly's Beauty Blessings, right? So I'm going to drop some of that on there. Okay. And I'm going to awaken the energy for the reading. And it's also clearing out any unwanted energy as well. And now, just to really liven things up, so now that I have that done, I'm going to begin with the reading, mind, body, and soul reading of what will put you in alignment with your authentic self. So this is the herbal deck. Let's see what we got here. Okay. We got cannabis. And we have rosemary in reverse. And we have tulsi in reverse, which is wealth. Body deck. And just so you know, the sound frequency that I chose today was 432. Connects you to Earth, which is what is going through a powerful energy shift right now. and so are we as earthly beings. So let's see what we got here. The 9 of Earth, freedom. And the last deck is the Starseed deck. I just looked up and the clock on my phone said 5:55. So these two are jump in and all paths lead home. So let's see what we got here. Right, from the Herbal Oracle. The first card is Cannabis, which is a card I got in my premiere reading the other day. Wow, I opened right up to it. So, cannabis is detachment, deep contemplation, freedom from pain body, inner calm, and immunity. Astrological ruler, Saturn and Neptune. Saturn would be Capricorn and Neptune is Pisces. Cannabis is one of the oldest known psychotropic herbs. The first recorded use of cannabis is from 8000 BC in an ancient village in Taiwan, where indigenous groups used hemp fibers in their fabrics, pottery, rope, and even their shoes, not relying on animal skins or even silk for clothing. In 4000 BC, in the Chinese village of Panpo, hemp was considered to be one of the 5 grains of China, and thus a major food crop. In the Chinese Matera Medica from 2737 BC, hemp was recognized for its ability to treat over 100 medical issues, including gout, malaria, and rheumatism. The medicinal use of marijuana features heavily in Hindu religious texts. In the Vedas, for example, written between 2000 BC and 1400 BC, cannabis was considered a sacrament of Shiva, described as a source of happiness, a joy giver, and a bringer of freedom that was compassionately given to humans by the gods to relieve them of anxiety and help them achieve delight as well as fearlessness. Cannabis, many uses, fall mostly under Saturn and Neptune's rulership, with a strong Piscean undertone. You know, Pisces are the extremely intuitive and also the dreamers of the zodiac. Since it is a musculoskeletal relaxant, anti-inflammatory, and pain reliever, it is a great ally for those seeking to soften the rough edges of Saturn's impact. Its mood-enhancing, anti-anxiety, anti-inflammatory, and psychotropic properties belongs to the realms of Neptune and therefore Pisces. The guidance of this card. Saturn is said to be the lord of time and space, the lord of karma. Although often called the great malefic, Saturn is much more than what we experience in third-dimensional reality. The space-time continuum is a system that encompasses third-dimensional reality as we know it, said to be ruled by Saturn. Yet the transcendence of this reality is freedom from Saturn, depicted by its polarity, Neptune. When the angels of time and space are respected, Saturn, in parentheses, they bless us with the freedom and the ability to transcend Neptune, the cycles of the pain body. If you feel restless, anxious, trapped in your own body, or are having trouble sleeping, cannabis is here to remind you to cultivate inner calm. And just so you know, there are a lot of people who are going through this energy shift in a way that is that they're being affected by exactly these things: restlessness, anxious, feeling trapped in your body, or having trouble sleeping. Because there's a dense amount of light, and why there's a dense amount of light is because there's a dense amount of darkness in the world. And so light is activating and not being passive, or just allowing darkness to just have its hand. And so that people who are light workers and people who do want to be a help to earth, to the world, are being recalculated, being upgraded. And in order to bring calm, sometimes in order to bring peace, there has to be chaos. So that's more than likely what you're going through, especially if you consider yourself to be a star seed. Breathe deeply, go for a walk in nature, immerse yourself in meditation, take naps, and creatively cultivate practices that soften the unsettled aspects of your being. So these are things that you can do. Don't succumb to the quick fix solution when it comes to decompressing. And one of the quick fixes, although this card is cannabis, one of the quick fixes would be to smoke some weed. And right now the cannabis that is being sold out, to the public, especially in the urban areas, is not the cannabis of yesteryear or the cannabis that you find in Jamaica. It's not pure. So be mindful of that, as it often leads to self-neglect and disassociation. Right now, disassociation, as I said, I'm playing 432 hertz music to connect with Earth. Disassociation from self, from Earth, is not what you want to do right now. Tune deeply into the energetics of this ancient ally and learn to transcend the cycles of self-induced pain. Okay? And so these next two cards are in reverse. And the first one was Tulsi, which is wealth. And don't be alarmed if, you're seeing that wealth is in reverse. Knowing what needs to be corrected is a blessing. So Tulsi in reverse is naivety, vanity, ignorance, emptiness, immaturity, and obsession of or with the material world. The astrological ruler is Mercury and Jupiter, and that's in alignment with today because Jupiter is playing a role in this Capricorn full moon in Cancer. Tulsi, also known as Tulasi, is frequently mentioned as one of the main pillars of herbal medicine in the ancient Ayurvedic texts, some dating back to as far as 5000 BC. It is known as the incomparable one, the queen of herbs and the mother medicine of nature. In the ancient Vedic text, the Bhagavata Purana, the queen of herbs is noted as the plant embodiment of Lakshmi, wife of Vishnu, and known as goddess of wealth and generosity. In Hindu mythology, Tulsi is regarded as a living gateway between heaven and earth, and believed to be a manifestation of the divine within. Along trade routes from Asia to Europe, Christians and Tulsi in rituals all called it holy basil. Across cultures, Tulsi was regarded as a symbol of divinity and purity. Found in many Ayurvedic formulas, Tulsi is regarded as Rasayana, master plants that assist in longevity and rejuvenation. It has been used to treat intestinal gas, colds, flu, headaches, migraines, anxiety, weakness, memory enhancement, premature aging, tumors, and much more. With its ability to enhance cerebral circulation and memory, Tulsi greatly embodies the archetype of Mercury, and Gemini's ruled by Mercury. They love their minds. And Mercury, think about the FTD Flores, the great communicator who governs our conscious mind, perception, understanding, along with primarily the nervous system and respiratory system. Tulsi is also ruled by Mercury's polarity, Jupiter, as this adaptogenic plant that increases longevity, immunity, while having a strong, auspicious nature known to boost spiritual abilities. The guidance from this card: The Tulasi goddess sits broadly facing her beautiful peacock, symbolizing heaven on earth. This is a picture here, right? She raises her arm with grace, aiming them like wands to catalyze magic and wealth. The fountain is centered between the goddess and the peacock, representing the wellspring created between earth, the manifest world, and heaven, the spirit world. Peacock embodies the medicine of auspiciousness, magic, and beauty, reminding us that we are the living gateway to the greatest of mysteries. Tulsi is here today to teach that the key to Jupiter's doorway, and Jupiter represents abundance and wisdom, is to live, create, and communicate from a place of wonder, innocence, and impeccability, in parentheses Mercury, rather than doubt and confusion. Don't be fooled by material possessions or the vanity often worshipped in the material world. Tune into deeper realities that abound around you. Be spontaneous and celebrate your temple as you are. Excuse me, my throat is a little dry. I just want to take a little bit of sip of tea. So I want to share a story. One time, years ago, when I was outside selling my products, and my table was just a little rickety thing with very few products on there, and I only had 2 tables, and to me it was looking needy and scraggly. And this brother pulled up on Troop. I think it was Troop off Fulton, and he had the latest model Mercedes-Benz and gold chains, and he was looking out the window, and he started leaning in closer to my spirit. And I'm looking at him, and I'm wondering what's going on. And so I did a energetic screen to think maybe he was being, flirtatious, or, admiring me from a gender or sexual perspective. And I did his body scan, and that wasn't it. And I realized that there was something at my table of value. So although he had this Mercedes-Benz and he had on all this jewelry, his energy let me know that in spite of what I thought that I was lacking, I was actually, or am, spiritually rich. And being spiritually rich, in my view, allows you to always be able to earn in the material realm. So I just, for such a time as this, Spirit just guided me to share that story. And then I'm going to go on to the last card, which is Rosemary, and that's an ancient memory. That was also in reverse. So in reverse, it's nostalgia, longing, disassociation due to trauma, induced amnesia, resurfacing of past emotions, confusion. The astrological ruler, the sun and Mercury. So here's Mercury again. All right? And it's so interesting because this morning in my affirmations, I found myself thinking about some things that happened in the past. And also the video that I uploaded was about adults who are actively emerging and seeking to emerge from the false conditioning of adverse reactions due to childhood abuse and trauma. So in some regards, this is a continuation. And in my affirmation, I said, using the 7 chakra mantras to do the affirmation, that I am no longer bringing the past into the present. So that just speaks to resurfacing of past emotions, right? So rosemary has been used medicinally dating back to the ancient Greeks and Romans in 500 BC. Dried sprigs of rosemary even showed up in Egyptian tombs as early as 3000 BC. The ancients were well acquainted with this hardy shrub, which had a reputation for strengthening the mind and memory. It became the symbol for fidelity for new lovers during wedding ceremonies and was used in religious rites and at funerals. During weddings, it was entwined in the wreath worn by the bride and dipped in scented water to bless the union as a symbol of the sacred moment and in turn and eternal loyalty. Even today, rosemary is used to improve memory. Legend has it that the Virgin Mary, mother of Jesus, as she fled from Egypt, sheltered next to a rosemary bush. She threw her cape onto the bush and the white flowers turned blue. Since then, this precious herb has been called the Rose of Mary. Interesting. And rosemary is for protection, by the way, so this makes sense. The guidance of this card indicates ruled by both Mercury, the planet of mind, and the Sun, the planet representative of our base ego and superego. Rosemary embodies this holy connection, the mind of the ego to the superego, the higher mind. This card signifies past feelings and emotions are resurfacing from deep within. You may find yourself remembering and accessing accessing ancestral memory that resides within your DNA. Rosemary assists us in healing through multidimensional sight, reminding us to use the power of vision and see beyond the constructs of everyday life. Don't disassociate or get consumed by the veil that broadcasts emotional imbalance. Call upon rosemary as a guiding light to see beyond the veil of confusion and stay committed to the vision that moves you. So I want to go back and say that as I spoke about not bringing the past into the present, I want to double back and just say that it is a detriment when you are bringing back negative aspects of the past into the present in order to ruminate or in order to feel disgust or shame or anger. But as the card spoke of before with the cannabis, detach from the, let's say, the tragedy, the sadness, the pain of yesteryear, but go deeper into it. Once again, not by smoking cannabis, but by doing things that bring you peace or harmony. As I said, going outside for a walk with nature, doing creative things that bring you in balance, and then doing the inner work to go into the ancestral component. Why did these things happen? Why did people do certain things that you would not expect people who love you or who care for you or who said that they were committed to you or would stand by your side? What made them do these type of things? And not only what made them do these type of things, but what in you can be healed from going back to the scene of the crime and putting the puzzle together with regards to the lessons that you are to learn, so that you, as the rosemary indicates through guidance, are able to see beyond the veil of confusion, the part that confuses you. If you know that you are a thinking being and there's nothing wrong with your mind in that sense with regards to being able to know that 1 + 1 = 2, if you are confused, then there is something that is not in alignment. And so then you, like I said, knowing that you have the ability to think, go back into the situation and see what doesn't make sense, why it doesn't make sense, and how you can make it make sense. And if it doesn't, just leave it alone, right? So the next card that we have is the 9 of Earth, and that is freedom. What is it that you need to know that's going to bring you the freedom to be your authentic self in a world that is definitely ascending into the need for people who are more authentic? So The nine of earth keywords are freedom, comfort, and beauty. The arts are something precious to all of us. If we did not have movies, theater, art, books, and music, the world would be a dull place to reside. 1 second, the music just went off. And let me just get this back going. This card is superb for those worrying that they have to lose their artistic side in the pursuit of a wage that they can live on. It frees you up to pursue creativity because benefactors and patrons are around the corner. This does not mean you can suddenly become extravagant in your spending, merely that your needs will be met. So it may be time to crack out those paints or that violin. You know, creativity is freedom. Just because you are an adult now and they say that, you know, according to the Bible, once you become a man, you do as a man or woman does and not as a child does. But the inner child never leaves. The inner child is always wanting to create, right? And creating brings wealth also. Do you know that in the Bible, it talks about how the kings made special provision for the musician, so that a budget was set aside for the singers and the musicians during biblical times because they were high ranking. It was understood the necessity for music, you know, and art. Well, people all the time play exorbitant amounts of money for art. You can look at a picture where they say picture's worth 1,000 words and just can take you into a whole nother space and time, and also foster creativity in you. So working, hustling is not where we are right now. Being creative, even if you buy a coloring book, just try it and see how you feel. And I'm 100% certain that you're going to touch upon this freedom and this beauty and this comfort with regard, to inner beauty, authentic self, inner peace that you'll find. You will be provided for. Having dealt with those cards, we're going to go to the star seed, and the first card is jump in, which is pretty much how I ended the nine of earth freedom. Jump into your creativity, jump into your comfort, jump into your beauty. Andromedan energy, adventure. Say yes to change. The Starseed Soul Inquiry is, how can you be more adventurous? How are you being called to jump right on in and leap? Leap into your authentic self. You know what it is that is inside of you, crying to be recognized, that no one knows anything about, and yet it is such a inseparable part of you. It's what makes you you. Show it to the world. Andromeda is a spiral galaxy, the closest galaxy to the Milky Way. It's believed that Andromedan starseeds are a group of beings who love their freedom. Very adaptable. They have a strong willingness and ability to change and go with the flow, to find calm in the chaos, to swim with the tides. This card is here to encourage you to do the same. It really does relate to the nine of earth and freedom. Perhaps you have a significant goal or opportunity ahead of you. If so, you're being guided to jump in. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for permission to detach from this material world. Don't wait for permission to play your music or paint that painting or whatever it is that you create. Don't wait for permission to tap into your ancestral memory. It's there for the taking. Perhaps you have a significant goal. Don't stall until you feel ready. The time is now. Take a deep breath, a good old run-up, and jump right in. Life bends for the courageous, and courageous is what you are being called to be. How cool is that being yourself is courageous? You're already facing the right direction. The only thing left to do is leap. You'll figure out the details as you go along. Things may not always be smooth sailing. Life on earth rarely is. However, it's the rougher seas that teach us how to sail with glory. And once you know that, you can navigate any sea, ocean, or storm. At this stage of the game, how many things have you been through that you thought that you could not endure, and you have made it? Those were just the warm-ups. The Andromedans want you to fall in love with surfing the waves of life, to seek more adventures, to embrace your own adaptability and find a way to be the calm in the chaos. You didn't come to Earth to be passive. You came to Earth to truly live. Now take a good run and leap. The next and last card, all paths lead home. So no matter how you detach, no matter how you find inner peace, no matter how you forsake materialism, wealth is going to come. Your freedom is going to come. As long as you remember that it is safe to jump right in. Your inner authority, your intuition, and turning your gaze within are going to point you to, as I mentioned before, what is within you that is your pearl, is your gift, is yours that no one else can express better than you. The Starseed Soul Inquiry. How are you being called to turn your gaze within? The first answer to that is to detach, so that you can have deep contemplation of self from the inside, not the inside looking out at what others may say or think, but what's actually being spoken to you by you. It's normal to look to the external world for answers and guidance. This is just right in alignment. What's revolutionary is turning your gaze inward. Do you hear that? Looking inside of you is no longer selfish. And what I mean by selfish is, I want to put a little bit more of the white sage on here. Selfish in that people in past times will say, oh, it's selfish to be thinking only of yourself. Ish means self-like. What's wrong with being self-like? Especially in a day and age where the masses are being manipulated by some really warped, destructive, perverse, damaging, vibrational energies. It's now revolutionary to look within. You're being called to source your guidance from within, to study the terrain of your inner landscape, to develop a reliable relationship with your soul, what you want, what you're thinking, who you know yourself to be. The more time you spend connecting with your soul, the deeper the connection will become. The challenge for empaths is staying connected without cutting off from the world. So you detach, you go within, discover who you are, and touch back with the world. Because after you need you, that's who is also waiting on you too. The best way to do this is to develop a daily practice that helps you keep checking in. Meditation is the most powerful way to do that, in my opinion. To draw on the wisdom within and let that be the authority in your life. Let your wisdom, let your intelligence, let what you feel from within be your authority. There's nowhere in the world that we were each born with a brain and not also have the ability to use it to govern our temple. Nothing wrong with asking for advice, but the first advice that you should seek is self-counsel. If this card appears, you may be called to develop or switch up your spiritual practice, to get in the habit of turning your gaze within, getting centered for the day before consuming anything from the outside world, to start from a feeling of at-homeness. You know, I do guided meditations in the morning, and one day several months ago I was wondering why I was outside having arguments that I felt were beneath the meditation and the inner work and the healing and the understanding and peace that I was seeking. And after I did the calculations, I was like, oh, you didn't do your meditation. You didn't do your guided meditation this morning. So when I say guided meditation really, really makes a difference, it allows the mind to settle, because once again, there are so many different entities and spirits and people, places, and things that are vying for our minds to make us robotic, if you will. That is by no fault of your own that sometimes you get misdirected or mentally overwhelmed. If this card appears, you may be called to develop or switch up your spiritual practice, as I said, and throughout each day to keep simple ways to keep coming home. By coming home, they mean coming back to your temple. At the end of the day, there is nothing that feels better than being able to come back into your home. You have two homes. You have the material home that you actually turn the key, open the door, and step in. And then there is your temple, which is also it's an amazing place to venture to. This doesn't mean switching off from the realities of today's world. We need as many conscious people as possible living with their eyes wide open, meaning we cannot ignore the fact, I'm just going to call a spade, that pedophilia is almost subconsciously a normal thing in this world. And it's abnormal. I don't care what anyone says. We must be mindful of darkness and the trickery and the deception that is going on. That was the card in reverse that talked about being naive. We mustn't be naive. Rather, it's a call to start your day from a place of connectedness, grace, and devotion. So when you go out into the world and when you let the world in, you do it from an unshakable state of being. A state where you draw your strength, authority, and guidance from a place deep, deep within. I want to do one more thing. And just see what the Bible has to say about being your authentic self and coming into alignment. So I've just opened up to Psalms 109.23 and Psalms 114. It says 8. My left thumb reads, with my mouth I will give great thanks to the Lord. I will praise him in the midst of the throng, for he stands at the right hand of the needy to save them from those who would condemn them to death. I'm sorry, that was my left hand. And my right hand says God's wonders at the Exodus. When Israel went out from Egypt, the house of Jacob, from a people of strange language, Judah became God's sanctuary, Israel his dominion. God's wonders at Exodus. Movement of Jah people. The tribe of Judah is African Americans, which is also what I am. And I also am the Spirit of Beverly Bolden, tarot card reader. May you be blessed. I wish you love, peace, and light, acceptance and support, and reaching your authenticity. 1.